Hello and welcome to Skill Away, dear mentor partners. Today we will start the new coding platform, that is Scratch. Now Scratch is a basically drag and drop based coding platform. Now it's not a very difficult question to ask why this is called a drag and drop, because obviously all the codes, everything that we want can be dragged and dropped onto our place here. So hence it's called a drag and drop coding based platform. Also it is a block based software, which means that all the codes and commands, loops, everything are in the form of blocks. As you can see, these are blocks of some particular action. So everything is block based in Scratch. Then this has been developed by MIT Labs. Now MIT is a very famous and prestigious college, as you might be knowing, Massachusetts College of Institute of Technology. So that they have developed this Scratch software. And before getting into the coding, I'll just, since it's our first day, I'll make you familiar with the interface. So what is interface? Interface is basically everything that is being seen on our screen. So let me start from here. This particular tab will take you to the Scratch online platform, where you can access the website, and people's projects are also uploaded on that, so you can go and check it out over there. This tab is basically used to choose your language. Now Scratch is very compatible with all these various number of languages, including Hindi, French, everything. So you can change the language if you want using this. Now file, you must be knowing, new is for opening a new project, open is opening an existing project. Then save, you can save it in another format as well if you click save as. Now record project video is very useful. Now this Scratch has a built-in facility to record your project video. So sometimes when you have to send your project to someone else, if you send it in the Scratch format, that is Scratch, like you might be knowing, PDF is .pdf and MP3 files are .mp3. They have these extensions. So Scratch basically has .sb2. So if you send this .sb2 file to somebody who wants to access this, then they will also require the Scratch platform in order to access it. But rather than that, we have a built-in program here that will allow you to record your project video. Now this also has some limitations. You can only record up to 60 seconds, and you can record and send your video, so that even if the person does not have Scratch, they can access what you have done. Now share to website is quite straightforward. You can share your code to the website, you can check for updates, and you can quit. Now edit here will not get into it much. It's basically turbo mode and small stage layout that we won't be requiring. Tips over here basically gives you step by step of some preset codes that are here, some games that have been made, musical instruments, etc. So you can have step by step guidance and follow the tutorials to get a head start into the project. How to is basically, if you have any questions during the code, like how to give a certain effect, or how to put in music, you can ask over here. Blocks, basically all these are called blocks. Blocks have tabs inside them that perform a particular action or do something. I'll explain the blocks in detail in the subsequent videos. For now, just know that there are 10 blocks: motion, events, looks, control, each etc. Each block has its own function to do, like each block has some importance of its own. So you can access any of these. You can find out what each of these does. For example, if you want to find out what a thing for dash seconds does, if you click on this, it will show you how to use it as well as what it does. So all these tips you can find out over here. About is basically about Scratch, and when it was developed, and all those information can be found in about. Now the right hand side over here, this is very important. You can follow the mouse pointer and see. This is where the Scratch, the exact location of our sprite is given. Okay, so as a mentor, you can explain Scratch to students in a very innovative and creative way. For example, you can give an analogy of a movie. Now, in a movie, what all things do we require? We require an actor, we require a venue, we require a script, we require a director. All these things, similar things are found in Scratch. For example, the first thing you need in a movie is actors, right? So over here, the technical word for actors over here is sprites. Now you can choose new actors. A movie will not obviously have a single actor, it will have a lot of characters, so you can choose new characters every time. Now as you can see, there's an option of new sprite here. There are four ways in which you can choose new characters. There is the first one here is a sprite library, so it opens up a library of characters that are already existing in the Scratch platform. So they are also categorized into animals, fantasy, letters, people. Then you also have themes and types. So all these characters can be found over here. You can include them in your movie as and when required. For example, if I want to include a t-shirt, I will just click on it and press OK. Now you can see there are two characters on our screen. One is our sprite one and the other is a shirt T. So both of these are characters. The next one here is a paint new character. So obviously the children will know way better to paint their own. So here you can paint your own thing, whatever you want to do. You can do that over here. The next one here is upload. So you can upload if you have downloaded a picture, or say for example, if the kids want a picture of their parents, they want to make a movie of their parents, then they can attach a photo of their parents using from this one, upload a picture from the file, and they can use that as one of the characters. The next one here is a new sprite from camera. So you can as well click pictures from your webcam or whatever camera you have in your computer device, and that will upload a picture over here, and that will also become a character of the movie. So as a mentor, you can make it very interesting for students in what way they should go about this, in what way they should make the movie. So that can be done. Now over here, now I suppose I want to delete a sprite, so I will simply go to I'll right click this. Now I'll get a drop down menu of info, duplicate, delete, save to local file, and hide. Now info will basically give me all the information about this. Alternatively, I can also click the tiny eye over here. If I click it, I can change the name of my sprite. Suppose, okay, right now this sprite is it does not exist, so I'll simply delete this. And suppose I want to change the name of this sprite to, since it looks like a cat, I'll change it to cat. So the name, I have changed the name of this character. You can do it at any point of time. Another thing about info is this X and Y basically gives us the position of the sprite. Now why position of the sprite is given in X and Y, let me explain to you. So suppose you want to ask this sprite to go to this position where my mouse pointer is right now. Now I cannot tell him ki go to this position, because this position also needs to have some value, right? Like for example, if I say to a person that okay, go to the supermarket, then I'm telling them where to go. But over here there is nothing that is specified. It's simply a blank screen. So in order to specify each point on the screen is given by two parameters, x and y. Now x gives the horizontal position and y gives the vertical position. So everything on this background here has x and y coordinates. They are called coordinates, that is positions in terms of x and y. So right now this sprite is at the location minus 119 and y 12. So as you can see, if I change here, it will come to a new location, x 149 and y 96. So this is very useful to track any point on the screen over here. Now, where do actors perform? Actors perform on a stage, right? So, rather than calling this a screen, I will call this a stage because this is where all the action is going to take place. So, you can also give this analogy to students that this is a stage and these are actors that are performing on the stage. Now, the next one here is direction. So, you can change the direction in which your sprite is facing. Just a minute, I will choose this sprite and I will show you. So direction, basically if you change the knob over here, as you can see, it is the direction in which the sprite is looking will change. So obviously you cannot have a movie in which an actor is not doing anything, it's just looking in one direction. That is not possible, right? You need to change it sometimes. So all those things can be done over here. Alternatively, the changes can be done in code as well. and those I'll explain later when we get into the blocks. Now rotation styles. Rotation styles, I will get in the rotation styles later on because they're a little complex to understand and you don't need them right now. Then all these then drag can drag in player is basically when the action is going on, when the for example I'll explain these later, but for example if I say turn 15 degrees and if I put it in a forever loop, and but when this action is going on I can move the character. So that can be done when can drag in player is tick marked. If it's not tick marked, then I cannot change its location. So just a second actually. Yeah, so that's why it's basically used. It won't be used much in our code. So let's not get into that much. Show and hide is very obvious. Matlab, if you want your sprite to be shown, you can show it. If you want it to be hidden, you can hide it. For example, like you can tell it to kids like this. There are so many scenes in which a particular character is not required. Like for example, if there's an action scene going on and you only need a hero and a villain, you don't require like the hero's parents or his best friend or anything of that sort. So in such places, you need to hide some characters. The characters won't be on the stage. So in that way, you can hide and show over here. And alternatively, it can be done in the code as well, which will be explained later on. So these are all characters right now. So like I said, you can duplicate. If you want to duplicate, that is, you want to create another copy, then you can directly duplicate over here. And there is another option to duplicate on the right hand, on the top corner here. For example, if I want to duplicate this cat, I will select the cat. I will click on duplicate, and I'll stamp it on the cat. So I get two copies. Now these two copies are exact copies of each other, but you can code each copy differently. That is, you can tell each duplicate character to do its own set of actions. For example, you might have noticed in some movies there are twins. So those twins don't do the same actions, right? They do different actions at different times. So in such a way, if you want to create twins of your character, then you can simply duplicate it over here and you can give them what to do separately. So right now let me delete the all the duplicates. Right. So that can be done. The next one here, the next important thing is okay. Now you know about the position of the sprite. That is the position of the character, where it exactly is. Similarly, you can have the exact position of the mouse pointer. That is given over here in this tiny X and Y, as you can see at the bottom of the stage. This gives the position of the mouse pointer. So how is this useful? For example, if I want the sprite to move to this location, then I'll put my mouse pointer over there. I'll note down the location, that is X minus 204 and Y 145, so that I know the exact location where I want my sprite to be. So later when I code, I can code it for the sprite to move to this exact position minus 204 and 145. So in this way, the location of the sprite as well as the location of the mouse pointer is very useful in our code. Now the next one here is a stage, that is backdrop. Now make sure to ask the kids a lot of questions, like to make the session more engaging and more fun to learn. For example, if you want, you can ask them, where will a typical Bollywood horror scene be set? Obviously, it will be set in some haunted house or some really dark forest. Or where will a adventurous scene be set? It will usually be there in a jungle or in a riverside or something like that. So every single situation has a different background. You cannot have the same background throughout the movie. How boring would it be? Exactly, right? So you can ask all these questions to students in order to make the session more interactive, and make sure to ask a lot of questions, because that way the students are kept on their toes and they are engaged throughout the session. So backdrop options are over here. You can change the backdrop from a library. Now there are so many backdrops over here. Every single backdrop that is possible is over here. Stage backdrop is there, space, slope, stripes, all these indoors, outdoors, bedroom. If you want a house scene, then you can choose a bedroom. If you want a party room, you can choose this. And even theme based backgrounds are there, like holidays, music and dance, sports, and all these things. So all these things you can use to, for example, if I want a field, so I'll choose the baseball field, and now you will see that the background is of a baseball field. Now you can even paint your own backdrop again, like including new sprites. There are four options for including a new backdrop. You can either paint your own backdrop, in which obviously students are more creative in doing that, so they can paint their own backdrop. So let them explore that on their own. Then you can upload a new backdrop. That is, if you want, suppose you want a picture of a beach, and suppose you want a picture of a beach that is in your town, so you can visit the beach, you can click a picture and you can put that as the background of your sprite by uploading it from your computer device. Alternatively, you can also click a picture from your webcam or your camera device, and that will also serve as the background. So obviously backgrounds are very important in a movie. Imagine a movie with no background at all. Imagine there's a plain white screen and there are characters in front of it. It would be so ineffective and so boring, right? So that is why backgrounds are very important. And over here you can change the order of the background. For example, suppose first scene is a fighting scene and the next scene is they come back home, so you have to set an order of the background as well. You cannot have a home of the fighting scene inside a home and then coming back home to an outside background and something like that. So you need to set the order of your background, so you can do that here. Then there are so many options over here. You can paint on top of the existing background as well. Suppose I want a person over here, I can just paint it over here. So all these things are available. You can just let the kids explore on their own. So since it's very easy to do, so yeah, let me go back to right. So for okay, now the next one here is I told you about duplicate. You can do how you can duplicate. This is for cutting. For deleting. If I want to delete this, I can either right click and delete it, or I can directly click it on this, and this particular character will get deleted. Now increase, grow and shrink are very important. You can keep clicking on the character how much you want it to grow or shrink. So all that can be done here. Now block help is similar to tips. If you want, you can click on this and click on whichever block you have a doubt in. For example, I have a doubt in the operators block. I'll click on it and I'll click on the particular tab which I have a doubt in, and it will show up all tips about that tab. So you can, whenever if you get stuck somewhere, you don't know what to do, then you can ask the Scratch platform. Now over here we have the green flag. There's a flag like device here. You can see green color and there is a red color. So this is similar to a director. How does a director usually start a scene? Whenever a scene is being shot, a very famous dialogue is said. So you can ask the kids, what is that dialogue? So you can give them 2-3 seconds to answer. If not, then tell them that the dialogue is obviously lights, camera, action. So whenever you say lights, camera, action, obviously the first thing that comes to your mind is that something is going to start, a scene is going to start, or the shooting of a scene is going to start. So the green flag over here is very similar to that. In fact, it does the same thing that lights, camera, action does. It basically shows a green flag that okay, you can start your action. So that it indicates the start of your scene, and the stop of obviously what does the director say when it has to stop? The director says cut. So the red button over here is very similar to the director's cut. So these two are used to start and stop the thing going on at the stage. Now the next one here is this particular tab. If you click it, it will show the full screen view. Now, this is very useful when you want to show your code to somebody, or what have you made. If you have made a movie, you can show it to other people. But obviously, you don't want to show them the code that is there behind it. You just want to give them a full screen view of what you have done. So in that you can in that situation you can use this full screen mode, so that they will get a proper aesthetic feeling also about the movie that you have made, and at the same time all your codes will be hidden, because otherwise you have all your codes over here. Suppose this is my movie, turn 15 degrees and forever. So when I click now this shows the start of the code. So when I click this, it will keep moving. So you this is not how you would show a person your code, right? So if you want him to show, you can full screen your screen, and then you can show. So this it gives a more aesthetic feeling, as well as it hides your code. So that was about the full screen mode. I okay. Then after that, suppose your code is over here and you want to enlarge it. Then over here, right hand bottom corner, you have zoom in option. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. At the same time, you can bring it to a proper size as well, using the middle these two horizontal lines over here. So I think the interface of the Scratch is very clear. The only things remaining are these blocks. Now these blocks are very important. In a movie, what do you do now? Okay, what all do you have in your hand? You have the characters, that is, you have the actor and actress of the movie. You have the venue. You have the backdrop of the movie. Now, who is the person who directs the movie? Who is the person who tells everybody what to do, in what place they have to be, and what is their next action, what is their next dialogue? Obviously, it's the director. Now, in this situation, you can ask the kids like this: in this situation, who is the director? Now, wait for their answer. If not, tell them, yes, kids, you are the director. You are making your own movie, so you will decide everything that is going on the stage. So, since you are the director, you will decide what character has to be there, what should be the stage, what should be the sound, dialogue, everything. Now, we have everything, except we can't have a background. We cannot have just a background and a actor standing over there. They need to do something, right? They need to move around. They need to say some dialogues. They need to have action scenes, fighting scenes. All these things are required to be there. So now that we have our characters, we can go on to having all those actions. Now, usually in a movie, where do all those actions and everything that has to be that the person has to do, everything is where is it written? It's written in a script. Now, scripts are what we will look into in subsequent videos. Now, a script is basically a write up of everything that a particular character needs to do. Now, suppose there is an actor and there is an actress. Now, you will have different scripts for both of them. Obviously, both of them will not say the same dialogue and will not do the same action. So you need to code differently. Now over here, obviously you don't have another sophisticated word for it. We just simply call it scripts. Now costume. It would be so boring if a person does nothing during the whole movie. You need some action, right? So that action is usually brought about in the costume session over here, costume section. So here, as you can see, one is costume 1, this is costume 2. You see, this gives a sort of running effect, this gives a sort of walking effect. So all these effects can be utilized by you in order to make your animation much more lively. For example, now adding a new costume is similar to adding a new sprite and new background. Obviously, you will have a library where you can choose a costume. Now, for example, so all characters have so many costumes. For example, there is Anina stands over here. This is one of our characters. Now, she has so many different costumes: top stand, top right, step, top freeze, cross, pop front. All these are basically showing actions that that particular character can do, that Anina can do. For example, if I use all these, then if I, as you can see, it gives a nice effect. It gives a moving effect to the character. So you can use costumes over here. You can make your own costume. You can upload a costume from your computer device, as well as you can create a new, that is, you can click a new picture and use it as a costume as well. So that was all about costumes. The next one here is sound. Now imagine a movie that does not have any sounds. It would be very dull, right? So in order to have sounds, you can click over here. Now choosing a new sound also has so many options from the library. You can choose all these sounds. Like for example, if you want a hand clap sound, you can choose it over here. If you want a jungle sound, you can choose it from here. So all these sounds are available. You can also record your own sound. That is, suppose you want the sprite to say a certain dialogue in your voice, so you can record over here, and that will be stored, and that will be your new sound, and you can play it during your in your script. Alternatively, you can also upload a sound. For example, you are having a birthday party scene, and you want the birthday song, so you can download it from YouTube, or you can download it from anywhere in the internet, and you can upload it over here and play the sound while the stage is being in practice. I mean, while the stage is the play is being performed. So all these things will add a lot of effect to your movie, and all these things are very much required as well. You will notice that in all movies you have costumes, sounds, scripts, actors, background. All these things are required. So what we're doing, kids, we're basically building our own movie. So this will, in this way, it will keep them interested throughout the Scratch module. So I hope the interface was very clear. Now remaining blocks I will cover in the subsequent videos, and stay tuned for the videos. And for now, that's all for this video, and thank you very much. Bye.